Here we have some problems with inequalities where we're being asked to give the solution by graphing them on a number line. Well, the first step in this one is that we need to solve for x. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to multiply the 2 through the parentheses here, distribute that 2, so 2x plus 6. And then we've got 4x minus 3. Now let's see, we want to get x's just on one side of the inequality, so I'm going to subtract 2x. That would give me 2x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 6. And then I would add 3 to both sides. Whoops, that's a plus 3, not a divide by. And I would get 2x is greater than or equal to 9. And finally, to solve for x, I just want to divide both sides by 2. And we get x is greater than or equal to 9 halves. And that is the same thing, if you want to put that in a decimal form, as 4.5. So how do we graph this on the number line? I'm going to make a number line over here. I'm going to put in 4 and 5, and we'll call that 4.5 right in the middle there. Now it says x is greater than or equal to. Because of that equal to, it's going to be a solid filled in dot on the 4.5 because it includes that value. And then it's greater than, so everything over to the right is going to be shaded in. And that's how you graph that one. Let's look at the next one. This one's a little bit different. It's an AND problem. And so when we give the answer, we only want to give the answer that satisfies both of these, where both of these are true. So let's solve them. They're pretty easy to solve. The first one, you just have to subtract 1, and you get x is less than or equal to 5. The second one, we have to divide by a negative 7, and I hope you remember when you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative number, you have to flip that sign. So it becomes x is greater than rather than less than negative 3. Now, if we were to graph this, we have negative 3 over here, and we have 5 over here. If I were to graph this inequality, x is greater than negative 3, I would have an open circle here because there's no equal sign, so it doesn't include the negative 3. And I would shade everything in this direction, and I'm just going to very lightly remind myself that that's what I would do. Now, x is less than or equal to 5, I would make a solid dot here, and then I would very lightly, I'm going to lightly just, I would fill in that I would do everything to the left of that. But this is an AND problem, so we only want to really graph the area where these two things overlap, where they're both true. And where they're both true is right along that area. So this solid filled in dot here, shaded area in between, and an open dot here is how you would graph this one. Okay, one more. And this inequality has some fractions, which you might consider to be a bit of a pain. But I like to get rid of those fractions right away to help ease the pain. I'm going to do that in this case by multiplying by 8. And I can do that easily because I've got 8's in the denominators of 2 of the terms, and then just a 2 down here. So when I multiply that by 8, it'll work out. I'll show you. So we multiply everything by 8. Now when you multiply x over 8 times 8, it's sort of like you multiply the 8 up on the top, and then it cancels. So that just becomes x. Then when we have x over 2, it's like you multiply by 8 on the top, and then it's 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So this becomes 4x. Now over here we have to be a little careful. This top part of the fraction, it's all over 8. So when I multiply by 8, it gets multiplied to the whole top, and it cancels with the bottom. So that ends up being just x minus 8. Now that's much simpler to deal with. Let's combine the like terms here. X minus 4x is negative 3x. And then I'm going to subtract x from both sides to get x just on one side. I've got negative 4x now. It's negative 8. And then I'm going to divide by negative 4. Remember, when you divide or multiply by a negative, you've got to flip the sign. So I'm going to get x is greater than, and negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. And graphing that one is fairly simple. Here's our number line. Here's 2. It's going to be an open circle because there's no equal to there, so it doesn't contain the number 2 as the answer, but it contains everything to the right of that, everything that's greater. So that's a little bit about solving inequalities and graphing them on the number line.